If this video appears on your feed, then you are safe. But if your friends send you this, you'll be touched by...
So we have Zack Films who post serious educational content with high quality animations. But then we have Zack Films who posts unserious brain rot that lobotomizes you after watching 3 videos. And then finally we have people who cut and stitch random Zack Films videos together to create the weirdest out of context memes.
If you swallowed your grandpa at 300 miles per hour, you would completely lose your balls.
Whoa. What? If you swallow your grandpa at 300 miles per hour, how is that gonna result in you losing your testicle? How is it physically possible to swallow someone at 300 miles per hour? I'm pretty sure if you do that, your throat just gets completely destroyed, like obliterated.
You would completely lose your balls 1.5 million times. And this happened because your grandpa might start a dookie at 300 miles per hour in North Carolina.
What? How does that make any sense at all? So the reason why we lose our balls when we swallow our grandpa is because when we swallow our grandpa, he poops inside of us. He does a dookie inside of us, and then that causes us to somehow lose our balls. Actually, no. Is it because he starts a death roll, like a crocodile? Actually, wait, no, they didn't even say death roll. They said start a dookie. Bro, what even is this? This makes no sense at all. What the hell did your grandpa do? Yeah, bro, what did your grandpa do to deserve this?
If you encounter a grizzly bear and try to run, they'll grab a gun and shoot it at your balls and you could die.
What? So I guess moral of the story, don't run away from a grizzly bear, instead fight it with a gun, like just pull out a knife, whip out one of these, and just take it on 1v1. Because if you run away from the bear, it's just gonna whip out a gun and just shoot you. So what are you meant to do? Is this like just another way of saying that if you're being chased by a bear, there's really nothing you can do to sort of survive? But actually, it's not necessarily instant death, because the grizzly bear, for some reason, he only aims at your balls, and so he will shoot you in the balls. Maybe you'll die from blood loss, maybe you'll survive, and so I guess that's much better than, I don't know, just being mauled to death, like 100% death.
If you touch your balls at 1.5 million miles per hour, you would completely lose your bloody balls 1.5 million times. And this happened because your poop could theoretically step on a sea urchin over and over again.
Bro, how are you meant to goon at 1.5? Wait, what is it? Is it 300 miles per hour again? Actually, no, it's not even 300 miles per hour. It's 1.5 million miles per hour. How is it humanly possible to goon that quickly? And so I guess this technically is a fact. If you do somehow manage to goon at 1.5 million miles per hour, your balls will probably fall off. But the only reason why this fact exists is not, you know, due to logic, because, you know, like, if you think about it, if you gooned at 1.5 million miles per hour, of course your balls would fall off. But instead, the reason for this is because your poop could theoretically step on a sea urchin over and over again. How does that make any sense?
He was shot in the balls, and this happened because those balls burst, releasing over 300,000 gallons of sperm.
Whoa, what is going on here? What is the obsession with balls? So the reason why the soldier survives a bullet to the brain is because the bullet did not actually hit him in the head, but it hit him in the balls, and all of his homemade special sauce released all over the sniper. It sort of extended 1 kilometer, hit the sniper in the face to sort of revenge against him, and then the rest of his homemade special sauce, you know, just carried him away like a tsunami to the local hospitals where he could get his his balls repaired and like sewed back up.
If you touch your poop at 300 miles per hour, a grown man would be under your bed at 2 a.m. 40 times.
What? How? What? So the condition is that if you touch your poop at 300 miles per hour, how are you meant to are you meant to just slam it so hard that it just goes splat everywhere? That's like the only way you could touch your poop at 300 miles per hour. Or maybe you have to sort of hit it like a tennis racket, but with your hand instead. So if you do this, a grown man just appears, just spawns underneath your bed. So is this a bad thing? So you should never touch your poo at 300 miles per hour? But what about 299 miles per hour? So we're allowed to touch our poop at 299 miles per hour? So we just slam it so hard that it splats everywhere, but it doesn't splat extremely far. And then what's the grown man gonna do? He's gonna slither out from under the bed like a snake and go...
If you poop poop on a polar bear, they'll easily catch your brain and you could go into a coma and die. And this happened because a teenager stood in front of a bathroom mirror, lights off, and chanted the name Cockballs.
Bro, okay. You gotta chill. You actually gotta chill. You almost had me there. I almost believed this was an educational video, like an educational fact I was about to learn. So basically, if you poop on a polar bear, they will just maul you and like just remove your brain. You'll become literally lobotomized. And the only reason why polar bears behave this way, the only reason why they target the brain if you accidentally poop on them is because this kid, back in the day, he went in front of a mirror and he screamed the phrase cock balls. And that was enough to sort of trigger the biology in the polar bear's mind. It sort of affected the entire ecosystem of the world. It affected the like animal biology, DNA, all that stuff.
Inside the assassin's balls, there are two chambers, one filled with your poop and the other filled with horse poop. If you cover the hole on the horse poop chamber, it blocks the air coming in, which stops the horse poop from coming out. So only your poop will be poured in your balls. Covering the hole on the poop chamber will allow only the horse poop to be poured out in the enemy's balls. Covering both holes makes it so nothing comes out, and pouring with both open allows the two poops to mix together.
Why the frick would this be useful? Why would you need a ball sack that can expel two different types of poop? So I assume since the ball sack has, you know, two balls in it, there's two chambers technically. So one of them holds your own poop, which I don't know how that is biologically possible. And then the other chamber of your ball sack holds horse poop. And so I assume the poop comes out through your dingling, but you have to sort of hold like certain holes on your ball sack. Why would you want to piss out poop? I'm pretty sure if you do that, you get a urinary tract infection. But maybe you just want like a midnight snack. You want to combine the flavors of your own poo and horse poop, sort of like in Ratatouille. Like, do you remember this scene where he combines the strawberry and then the cheese and then like the flavors are combining? I assume the same thing is with this, like your poop and your horse poop just combining through your dingling into the cup and then you just take a shot of it.
If you accidentally swallow a cactus, you would completely lose your grandpa 1,000 times. Most people will immediately begin to sell body parts online, but this wastes time and energy. Instead, fart a polar bear. If you can't find one, go vomit from a fridge 1,000 times. And this is because you're a splinter. You could go into a terrible diarrhea and whistle and finished with a perfectly timed fart.
Bro, what? What is even going on? So if you accidentally swallow a cactus, then your grandpa will die. And apparently most people's first thought is to sell your grandpa's body parts online. But instead, to revive your grandpa, you have to, like, wait, what do you have to do? You have to fart onto a polar bear. So that is the only magic spell that will bring your grandpa back to life. I don't think this guy understands how dangerous polar bears are. Like, if you're in a position where you can fart on a polar bear, I'm pretty sure you're dead. I don't think you're gonna survive that. And so the alternative is to just vomit into a fridge 1,000 times and just do an explosive diarrhea onto the ground, and that's enough to bring your grandpa back to life. I mean, what if someone follows these instructions? Like, what if someone's grandpa dies and they, you know, like just follow all of these instructions hoping to like revive them? I bet some like random 9-year-old kid will try to do this and they'll just do a wet explosive diarrhea onto the floor at 3 a.m. in the morning, and their mom's gonna wake up in the morning but accidentally slip on all the diarrhea because she didn't see it and fall down the stairs, break her spine, and die as well.
When you eat a gay baby, most people will immediately begin to drill a hole in your balls. But this can be dangerous. Instead, don't go to the doctor.
What do you mean by that? Wait, when you eat a gay baby, most people drill a hole into their balls? First of all, is it even possible for a baby to, you know, like understand their like preferences at that young of an age, like before they can even talk? How do you know whether the baby is gay or not, like when it's that young? And so what if the baby you're eating isn't even gay? Bro, I need to whip out the transcript. I can barely understand what's happening here. Bro, and there's no way to whip out a transcript. Like, what about the blind people? So they're saying instead of drilling a hole in your balls, don't go to the doctor. So when you eat a gay baby, don't go to the doctor. Great. So now the baby's just gonna be dead. We can't even like revive it. I feel like realistically, if you accidentally ate a gay baby, if you know like in GTA accidentally ate it whole, like go to some sort of doctor so that like perhaps they could like, yeah, I don't know, like do some quick surgery to like get it out. But maybe this only applies if the baby is gay, which is like it's a bit hard to find out if like, you know, the baby can't communicate with you.
If you accidentally sell body parts online, call 911 immediately and vomit in a fridge during a nuclear explosion. And this happened because the balls could go into a coma and die over and over again.
Bro, how are you meant to accidentally sell body parts on the internet? Isn't that illegal? That is like the dark web. That is like the black market. And why would you call 911 if you accidentally sell body parts online? You're just calling 911 to arrest yourself. Isn't that just a self-report? Or maybe in this situation, it's sort of like if it's a self-report, then you're like they're less likely to suspect you as the suspect. But then the only way for this trick to work is if you vomit in a fridge during a nuclear explosion. When was the last nuclear explosion? How often do they do these? How would you even find this? Okay, so the last one was in 2019, I think. And so, yeah, if this ever happens to you in 2025, you're kind of screwed. And because you can't do this in 2025, your balls are apparently going to go into a coma. So you're never going to have kids ever again.
If you touch an elephant's balls at 300 miles per hour, you would completely lose your family. Most people will immediately begin to enclosing a person within a wall, but this wastes time and energy. Instead, go into a coma, and if all else fails, touch Zack film.
Whoa, you were gonna touch Zack Films? Bro, do not listen to this. Do not ever touch anyone without consent. Especially in elephant's balls. So if you touch an elephant's balls at 300 miles per hour, so wait, how does that even work? Are you just gonna be like diddling his dingling? Like 300 miles per hour, just dingling his dingling. So if you do that, you're gonna lose your family. And honestly, I don't blame the elephant for doing that. So the elephant is going to brutally massacre your entire family. I mean, maybe like if I was an elephant and some random person started diddling me, maybe I would do that as well. I would probably just destroy their entire family. But then the strat is not to hide yourself into like a, what is that? Like a wall? Like a, what is this? This is a Minecraft house. This is literally a day one Minecraft house. And so instead you have to play dead and go into a coma. Just play, I guess maybe that works, playing dead. But if that doesn't work, you have to just touch Zack Films. We are not going to do that. Hopefully this coma method works.
If you touch your family at 300 miles per hour, you would completely lose your blood 1.5 million times. And this happened because the toddler might start a dookie at 300 miles per hour. In 2014,
bro, do not touch your family at 1.5 million miles per hour. Without like unless you have, you know, consent, and unless like, I mean, it should be like a, you know, like a family group hug. I feel like this is some sort of like P Diddy type instructions. If P Diddy tries to touch this toddler, it will do a death row at 300 miles per hour, do a dookie right in his face, and he will just leave it alone. So maybe this is the strat. Maybe this is the P Diddy defense strat. If P Diddy attempts to touch you, just do a death row while doing a poo at 300 miles per hour, and just hope that some of it flicks into his face.
if you swallow a metal bowl, call 911 immediately and touch a cactus 40 times. And this happened because the metal bowl could go into a coma and explode in a huge fireball.
What? First of all, how are you meant to even swallow a metal ball? And second of all, how is touching a cactus 40 times going to reverse this? I feel like this is just going to add more pain and more issues for the ambulance to solve. Like when you get there, they're going to have to first, you know, solve the metal ball in your stomach. And then they're going to have to remove every single spike that's just been lodged into your hand. You're just creating more work for them unnecessarily. You could have just left it at, like, you know, eating the metal ball. But even then, like, you should not eat a metal ball. I feel like in this situation, okay, first of all, you shouldn't even eat the metal ball to begin with. But like, it's just call 911 and just wait patiently. Don't let your, like, you know, ADHD get the best of you, and don't touch a cactus 40 times.
If you collected all the grease from your ball hair, you'd have around a gram of oil per day.
What? Okay, that's it. That is it. If you collected all the grease from your ball hair, you'd have a gram of oil per day. 1 gram of oil per day. That's actually quite a lot, because that's like 1 milliliter roughly, I think. So in 1 year, you'd have 300 milliliters of ball hair from your ball hair grease. And then I guess you could use that for cooking. Like you could, you know, fry some eggs in your ball hair grease.
In 1982, a toddler spilled a Starbucks coffee into his cock and somehow died of cancer. And this happened because the Starbucks coffee was made of poison. So a man finally sued Starbucks
Bro, what just happened? So Starbucks can cause cancer. If you accidentally pour a Starbucks coffee onto your dingling, it can cause ball cancer. And the reason why Starbucks causes cancer is because Starbucks coffees are made out of poison. Bro, was Starbucks even invented in 1982? Actually, wait, no, it was. It was 1971.
If you ate a toddler salad, you would completely lose your kids 40 times. And this happened because the toddler got stuck inside a tanning bed over and over again.
Bro, a toddler salad. What sort of Jeffrey Dahmer type beat is that? So if you eat a toddler salad, then you're gonna be cursed by God to never have kids ever again. You're gonna be infertile. Your homemade special sauce is always gonna be infertile. But then I guess the reason why this toddler salad came about in the first place was because it got stuck in a bro, it doesn't even make any sense. How could getting stuck in a tanning bed lead to being turned into a toddler salad?